Quick 30 seconds here for Audi Central Houston. Guys, I've been a customer of Audi Central Houston since before they became sponsors of the show, so I can tell you with full authority, because it's my personal experience, that they will take such great care of you at Audi Central Houston. When you go to Audi Central Houston and see the GM Danny Posey, tell him you were sent there by Geek Therapy Radio, and then drool over all the Audis they have there, from the A3 to the R8. Audi Central Houston has you covered in any budget. AudiCentralHouston.com.
This is Geek Therapy Radio.
What are we waiting for?
And now your mental curator, Johnny Hamburger.
Welcome to this edition of Midweek Geek here, and I will go ahead and say the dates. As of recording this, it is October 2nd, so no, this is not an evergreen story, of course, because we're going to talk about Apple and the newest, I guess you could call it, ChargeGate. So welcome into Midweek Geek. I'm your mental curator, Johnny Hamburger, and in these Midweek Geeks, yes, we tend to stick with a specific topic. There's no segments in this. It's not the radio show. This is not broadcast on KPRC 950 AM. It is just a podcast. So I get to talk about whatever I want in here, but like I said, it's generally sticking to one topic. So today, like I said, ChargeGate. First of all, if we could just stop calling everything gates, you know, it all stems back to Watergate. Then we call things, you know, with the Apple alone, we call it Bendgate, Throttlegate, and now we're at ChargeGate. Stop calling it gate. The meaning of the word has diminished, and I don't think it means what you think it means. Like it's some big conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. You know, Watergate was a conspiracy. ChargeGate, in this instance, isn't a conspiracy. It's just Apple being stupid. Now, I know, yes, I'm going to post this on YouTube, and I know that when you have anything negative to say about Apple, that, you know, some people say, oh, you're just trying to get clicks or views or whatever like that. No, I still maintain, because look, I'm not a huge channel. I think my subscriber count right now is at 503. It's continually rising, which I'm very thankful for. But I am in the camp of, we need to keep Apple accountable on these things as consumers. And again, I've done entire episodes, you know, or segments talking about how I'm not an Apple fanboy. I'm not a Samsung fanboy. I'm not an anything fanboy. I have nothing. I don't hate Apple. Let me put that this way, because I do have some things against Apple in cases like this. But I don't hate Apple. I have an iPad. Oh, where is it? Right behind me here. I just updated my iPad, the newest generation of iPad, up to iOS 12. I haven't spent much time with it or anything. I don't hate the iPad. Like, I've got the iPad. I play apps on there. I play games. Play apps. I use apps on there. I play games. That's about all I use that iPad for. Some productivity things, but not much. So I don't inherently hate Apple. But, and I will refer to it, you know, henceforward as ChargeGate, because that's the moniker that's been given this. As far as ChargeGate goes, this is just another instance of Apple losing sight of the ball. It's baffling how they can let these things happen. And yes, I'm going to say let these things happen. Most recently, before ChargeGate, we were talking about the throttling i9 in the 2018 MacBook Pros. Now, yes, i9's throttle in any thin and light device, whether it's from Windows or from the Mac ecosystem. The difference there is, and I won't talk too much about this, the difference there is that a Windows i9, you have 1,000 different choices of laptops with an i9 in it that won't throttle. You have no choice. And sorry to get all outraged there. You have no choice. If you want an i9 and a MacBook, you got one choice. It's the 2018 MacBook Pro i9. So what I'm getting at with this is Apple released the MacBook Pro, the i9 MacBook Pro, fully understanding they had to know the scale of the throttling. that they advertised on the box up to 4.8 gigahertz, I think it was, and it couldn't even reach base clock. It was throttling so bad. They waited a few days and they released a patch for it that just kept the throttling under control. It helped the situation. But what I'm getting at is, you would think a company like Apple that's worth $1 trillion would have the research and development and the testing, the product testing. Who the hell at Apple, because they saw it, they said, this isn't ready yet. Mr. Cook, this is not ready yet for consumers. There's a problem here. Maybe he didn't report it to Cook, directly. But somewhere in that chain of command, someone made a decision after knowing that there's a problem here, selling it anyways for upwards of $7,000. That's how much the MacBook Pro, 2018 MacBook Pro cost, upwards of around $6,700. They knew there was a problem. Apple, in my opinion, in these cases, has such contempt and low regard for consumers that someone said they're still going to buy this. Even with this problem, even when they find out about the problem, people will still line up around the block to buy this. And I think that's exactly what's happening again with the iPhone XS or the iPhone XS or X Max or whatever, the new iPhones, the new iPhone XS, XS Max. At the moment I'm recording this, I'm not sure that it affects the XR, the XR, but the issue, the charge gate with the XS and XS Max is that basically you plug in the phone, and it's not every phone, but it appears to be a huge chunk of them, if not most. I know Unbox Therapy got 8 iPhone XS's or whatever, iPhone, the latest iPhones. Out of the 8 of them, 6 of them had this issue. 2 of them worked as they should. So it is at least, I know that's only one point of data to extrapolate from in this case, but it is a massive chunk. Hundreds of people, if not thousands, are reporting this charging issue. Basically, if the phone is in standby mode, the screen's off, you just pick your phone up off the table and you plug it in, it doesn't charge. In some cases, it doesn't charge. In some cases, it might charge a little bit, then stop. In some cases, it might charge a little bit or not charge, and then hard freeze, then you have to hard reset it. There's a problem with the charging. You can't just plug in your iPhone in these cases and have it just charge normally. It only will charge if you have the screen on. So you press the home, whatever area, or the power button, or whatever it is on the iPhone, and when the screen's on, boop, boop, it'll start charging. When the screen's off, stop charging. There's just issues with the charging. It does not function as intended. And it's a huge number of iPhones that are suffering from this. A huge number of iPhones. So let's say you just spent over $1,500, almost $1,600 after tax, if not over $1,600 on a new maxed out iPhone XS Max. And you can't charge it without the screen being on. You can't just put it on your nightstand overnight, leave it charging, because you wake up and it's either frozen or at 2% or it just hasn't charged. You spent all that money on a device that should have worked out of the box. And I'm not even getting to the biggest issue with all of this. You spent $1,500 on something that should have been product tested ad nauseum to make sure that something as basic as charging your phone worked. This isn't some little obscure issue with the firmware or an app that doesn't work, or maybe the weather is not fetching properly. This is putting electricity into your phone so that you can use your phone. Let's say there's an emergency situation. Oh my goodness, I need to call 911. Or you go to reach your iPhone XS or XS Max and no battery. It wasn't charging after all. So it's not something obscure like a weather not fetching. This is a basic function of any phone since cell phones have been around. But here's where it gets really crappy. Let me just censor myself a little bit. Apple has been silent about this. As of recording this, it is 3:21 p.m. here, Houston time, Central Standard Time, 3:21, October 2nd. Right? October 2nd? Am I getting this right? October 2nd. Apple has been silent about this. This is what's really crappy. Apple hasn't acknowledged this yet. This has been going on since this weekend. This has been going on for days. And Apple has had zip lips. They haven't said anything. That is a massive oversight on Apple's part, and it is room for major criticism. I'm sorry, this isn't a video to get likes and clicks, and I don't turn off the video now if you haven't already. I don't care. We, the consumer, need to keep Apple accountable. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying Apple is scamming us. I'm not using any buzzwords like that in this video. I'm just trying to keep Apple accountable. So it's been radio silence from Apple. Do you remember several months ago, if not maybe, what was it, a year or two ago, the Tesla, to bring it back to Elon Musk and Tesla, when Elon Musk was CEO of Tesla, wink, wink. When the reviewers were were product testing, their magazines and the editorials were testing the Tesla 3, they said the brakes weren't that great. Elon Musk immediately addressed the situation and said, we're working on it. And then Tesla fixed it within what amounts to hours. Basically days after the issue was brought up, they immediately acknowledged the problem right as soon as it became apparent. They acknowledged it. That's what Apple is not doing here. There's a problem and they haven't even acknowledged it. And now, why do you think that is? Do they have contempt for the consumer? I think that is a small part of it. I think they are worth $1 trillion, and people are still spending upwards of $1,600 for the product and lining up for the privilege to do so. There's no fire lit under Apple's butt to fix this in a timely manner or even acknowledge it. Yes, of course, you know that they are working on it in the background. There's no way that that Apple is unaware of it. And there's no way that people aren't actively working on a software patch to fix this, an over-the-air update for this, to fix this issue. You know that is happening. But what does it tell you about a company when the public is screaming at you outside your doors? There's a massive problem with your product, and not a single person from Apple shows up to the door to acknowledge the problem at all. All Apple has to do is put out a tweet or put on their Facebook or social media or make a commercial or something just to say, we are aware of the issue, we're working on it. Just say that. Just let us know. Just give the consumer some confidence that you are working on the issue, that you hear our cries. Apple hasn't done that yet. And to me as a consumer, that does not give me a vote of confidence in Apple. It's insulting is what it is. It's insulting to all of us. It's especially insulting to someone who just spent almost $1,600 on a new iPhone and they can't charge the damn thing without the screen being on. They just spent upwards of $1,600 on something that doesn't work. It is insulting that Apple has not immediately addressed this. They didn't even have to apologize for it. All they had to say was, we're aware of the issue, we're working on it. Sorry for the inconvenience. Or do something. Just mention it. They haven't. That's insulting. And if I had $1,200 or whatever burning a hole in my pocket to buy a new phone, me not being a fanboy of any team, that would be a knock against Apple. Well, if I give Apple my $1,200 or whatever the number is, they don't care about me at all as the consumer. They're not even going to acknowledge that there's a problem with my product. That's a massive insult. And I am in the boat where I do need a new phone. I gave my Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus to my girlfriend. We just got engaged, by the way. Mazel tov, thank you. But I just gave her my S9 Plus, and I'm rocking a new, it's literally called a new X5, NUU X5. It's cost like $120, and I'll just say it's functional. It's functional as a smartphone. But so I'm in the market now. I'm in the market for a flagship. I'm leaning heavily towards the Note 9. When we were in the Sprint store the other day, I was looking at the iPhones. Maybe they're good enough now for me to switch over to iPhone for the next few years that I'm going to have a smartphone in my pocket. Honestly, not after this. And it's not even that there's a problem with the phone. It's that Apple hasn't acknowledged it. is that I feel as a consumer ready to spend some money on a new smartphone, I feel that Apple doesn't give a crap about me. Just wants my $1,200, $1,500, whatever it is. Holy crap, that's a lot of money. Screw you after that. We're not even going to acknowledge that you're having a problem. So, I guess that's all I really have to say about the subject. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I'll just remind viewers again, this is a radio show first, podcast second, and then I upload things to YouTube. Sometimes it's very short, concise videos to the point, like a review of the S9 Plus, for instance, or I just did an old school review of the NVIDIA Shield tablet. So sometimes it's videos, traditional YouTube videos, but really this is mostly just long form. It's a podcast, it's a radio show, it's a broadcast, so it's long form. So thank you for sticking around. I really want to know what you think in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube, or any platform that allows comments. If you're listening to it on Spreaker, for instance, I think they allow comments below podcasts there. Let me know what you think about this. Do you have an iPhone? Are you experiencing this problem? Is this enough of an issue for you to jump ship? Do you consider yourself an Apple fanboy? Is there anybody out there who, is a self-confessed Apple fanboy who after this, it's like the last straw? No more iPhones for you. But just let me know what you think. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Consider subscribing to the Geek Therapy Radio podcast. If you're in Houston, maybe turn on the radio, KPRC 950 AM. Listen to Geek Therapy Radio here in Houston. Other than that, most importantly, please be good to each other, starting with yourselves. We're all geeks about something. Embrace your inner geek. If you're going through hard times, lean into your friends, lean into your hobbies, maybe find a new hobby or rekindle an old hobby, but be good to yourself so that we can be good to each other. There's more we have in common than that which divides us, and that's a very important distinction to make right now, given our political landscape, where it's divide and profit, basically, is what it equals out to. So, we all love Star Wars and Legos and Star Trek and airplanes and neat cars and things, so let's embrace that about each other. That's what's really cool anyways. So, be good to each other, my geeks. I'll see you next week on Midweek Geek, and I'll see you this weekend for Geek Therapy Radio. Thanks for sticking around. If you consider subscribing here on YouTube, that'd be great. At Geek Therapy Radio on all the social media. Till next week, see you guys later.